Hello and welcome to the Captain's Table, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Berserker01 Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of Twitch. This is the Captain's Table, the Star Citizen podcast where I bring people from all over the Star Citizen universe to talk about the game, most recent updates, sometimes lore, sometimes other things. It's a grab bag. I try to keep a rotating crew every week to have different folks. And today we've got two familiar faces. This is like probably the fourth or fifth time for both of you to have come on. I think you two have both actually been on the same show at least once together.
Yeah.
So let's get started with introductions. Jale, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
I'm Jale. I have a YouTube channel. I make videos about whatever takes my fancy. But I try to make. I've started billing myself as lore, languages, and all the little details. Little details being the operative thing recently. And otherwise, I'm on Twitter.
Okay.
That's where you can find me.
I have to talk with you, Jale, because I have a plan on doing a complete video, a Madman style video of going through every single food item in game and figuring out what its perks and downsides are, and the lore for each of the food items and who made them, as if they exist. A massive list, which is probably going to be over an hour-long video, and no one's going to watch it.
I'll watch it. I'll be there.
Yes,
I mean, I need to get back into my old cooking videos. Those were the good old days.
And in all honesty, I'll watch this as well, simply because I want to try to cook those things.
Yeah. But I have to wait for more lore to come out from. Actually, maybe I'll do it before Spyro comes out, so I can do round 2 and do all of like, what's a C-nut? Where does it come from? You know, that kind of thing. Why does it move so much? Why do people who eat fried C-nut? Why are they barbarians? And the only proper way to do it is if it's moving. Like gach or what is
the gourmet's guide to stand the gourmet's guide to
pyro. All right. And Zark, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen? Where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm Zark. I'm just a normal player. That's it. I'm on Paul's Discord, and feel free to join. I'll guess most of you are already there. I see a lot of familiar faces. And I'm rescuing very valuable things across the universe that happen to be in the wrong hands.
Yes.
It should be in a museum.
It should be in a museum. It just so happens it should be in my museum, in our museum.
The thing is, right now we're putting it in the warehouse because the museum is still under construction.
Yes.
So once it's built, then we will put it there.
You've learned from my people well.
We're not the British Museum, all right? Just because I decide to play classical music while we do this and slaughter natives and take their things, it has nothing to do with the British Museum. All right. With that being said, this whole episode is going to be about IAE 2953 because we're recording this at the very beginning of it. There's going to be another episode towards the end of it. So, because there's usually some twists or some things that popped up at the end of the shows of the event, as it will. So let's get started with just your overall interpretation of the event so far first. So I'll start with you, Zark, on this, since you're the last person to introduce yourself. What's your overall interpretation of the event so far? Goods, bads, just kind of general vibe. What are you feeling?
So yesterday I would have said it's the same as always. Mm-hmm. Now, the brochure with those 2 clips we've seen today, I'll spray a bit of a hopium around and say it's the first sign of where this event is going to be in a couple of years. So we will see large screens in the area where those clips will play, where there will be interviews. We'll probably see prospects where you can read stuff. There was this whole page with ads about special items and so on. So I think that the whole FPS side of stuff will grow a bit more. And it might be too much to do, but I can see more and more localized things happen, like we've seen with the Guardsmen on ARCorp.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that if we have in an IAE in Terra, we would see different clips.
Mm-hmm.
It really depends on how intensive it is to make those. Because if this 90-second clip is only like 20 minutes of work, I could see them making a bunch of them and then throw them in. So yeah, I'll be slightly optimistic and say we will see some change to how. I say it's like you talked about CitizenCon. It's the first sign that the IAE will actually be a convention
Like it's evolving.
and not just
Yeah.
yeah.
Jale, your initial thoughts on this, and we'll go more deep with like goods and bads, but
Yeah, I completely agree. I know that part of the reason why the set dressing of IAE this year is going to be more individualized for each day is because they weren't able to put the people onto making a long narrative sequence like they have in previous years with Jax, because they were all bound up on Squadron 42. But actually, that limitation seems to be making them go into really more fun, throwaway little gags that are probably going to be better overall and more fun. And like each one's getting its own little thing. We've got like an Origin style day coming up, and we've got Date of the Empire from the perspective of the CEO of Drake. On Drake Day, and Jimmy speaks, and that's all just like I think I'm going to enjoy those because I don't really know what's going to happen every day. Whereas like last year, IE, yeah, you want to know what's going to happen to Jax next, but like some of those episodes were just like Jax kind of going, "Oh, they're still after me," and then that's the whole kind of video. So I think that actually this IAE is the best IAE we've had in terms of as a convention.
Yeah,
and if you think about, sorry, Paul, if you think about it, if we slip in Jax now, so we have our day-to-day interview, we have the overarching narrative of Jax, and then we add on top of this dynamic events with, for example, this convention. What about Xenothreat will attack? What about you have terrorist attacks? You get contracts that say, guys, there's a bomb threat, check it out, scan it, and so on. And all of a sudden, this whole event is a completely different beast.
It's a gameplay event rather than just being go get your ships, you know.
And I say we now have the content side done. So in terms of what's the convention about, we have our small stuff. We have the different themes. As you said, the Luxury Day, Drake CEO speaks. We have the overarching narrative they do. And gameplay, we could probably see, I'd say 25, once the servers are stable enough during the free flight, so their missions are actually doable.
Oh, we can hope. But I will say this is I agree. I think this is the best one, and I think the two things that really sold it for me was the bespoke cargo and mining exhibits. If you don't know, there's an exhibit which shows off a bunch of new stuff for cargo and mining. Like it shows off, and it has like little plaques about each of the different mechanics, like equipment that they have, and you have like mannequins that are kind of posed and wearing armor for various things, and it kind of gives you the vibe that you would expect from like a World's Fair or a car show, where like you're getting the auxiliary things, the things that are related to the ships. That's not directly linked to the ships, you know, like, yeah, you probably want to know a little bit more about the tractor beams that load all these cargo ships, but the cargo ships are only there for, you know.
Well, and the people for Pyro recruiting stand and the Navy recruiting stand, and it all just kind of, I think you're actually seeing some of their experience of planning real world conventions bleed into their in-gaming conventions. I do think that it's been a bit interesting how they've put probably what's going to be one of the highlights, which is the Alien Day with a new ship and with people anticipating the release of another ship fairly soon, the Santokiai. But then Aegis, however you want to go. I only care about alien pronunciation. I dropped in, I had a look around. It was so like been there, done that, seen it.
Yeah.
Because they haven't had a new flyable since the Redeemer remake in 2 years ago.
2020, or 2021.
Yeah, and they haven't had a new concept in 3. So
Yeah.
it's like they're definitely sneaking that one in to be sort of like, well, hopefully people will still be interested in the alien ships, because, I mean, back then we were complaining that Aegis were getting too many concepts and too many ships, and we're really bored of seeing them. And now all they have to look forward to are essentially the last couple of flyables and the next round of remakes of their old ones.
Yeah, it's like their capital ships and then the remakes. It's pretty much what we got. We have plenty of ships, though. I'll say that. I will say, I will echo the sentiment that overall, I think this is the best one, and I think it's because Jax isn't there. If this was just another Jax one, it would be kind of boring. But that security expert, like that whole, those two little, like maybe 3-minute videos, that's a completely different perspective on the universe. Yeah. And since CIG has talked about, the developers have talked about, especially the narrative team, have wanted to start adding in videos, the videos that we've been seeing transcripts for the lore, putting that into the game for players to see and watch. They talked about the process of starting the process of that back this summer, of like how they're going to do it and how they implement it on those screens and all kind of stuff. And I think that is like, this is a great example of like, yeah, I'd love to see that. Like, the little security snippets on IAE day, just like sponsored by Aegis because they've got the stalker in there or something like that. So, Zark, you're gonna say something?
Yeah, I have 2 conspiracy theories I want to start, so people can completely take it out of context, start their religion. Those 2 videos prove 2 things. First, high intensity, close combat with pairing with different forms of attacks, and no more mystic zones in landing zones. That's what got teased in those 2 clips. Yeah. Now, run free, run to Spectrum, run to Reddit.
I think they were just being it was just being cheeky fun with that. But yeah, no,
I mean, no mystic zones. We know it's probably coming. They still state they want to remove them once the criminal system works. But yeah.
Jale, you were going to say something?
I mean, if we want to move on to the topic of armistice zones, we could. I kind of think that what happened with the pyro test shows that they'll probably always have a need for them in some very small areas. Yeah. Even if it's just like outside the HABs. It comes down to like a concept that in the game design of what is intended play, and essentially any play you permit, there's an argument for saying that that's something that you can say is intended play. So if you intend for new players to get shot in the head the moment they step out of their like spawn zone into the game, if you allow it, you're intending for it to happen. Yeah. And if you don't want it you have to specifically disallow it if you want it to happen. We can get fanciful about the extent to which a crime system can control that and regulate player action. But however punishing we make it, there's going to be someone who's going to take it as a challenge to like, how I killed 100 newbies while avoiding the cops.
Yeah, that's going to be a video. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to watch that, and it's going to be like the OJ chase video, and that's going to be great. And that's the reality, because we've all done that when we played like the games where they go, oh yeah, there's a super hard mode that you have to do to get the really true evil ending. We've all done it. Yeah. We've all had a go. I once carried a garden gnome through an entire FPS shooter to get an achievement.
Yeah. Half-Life 1, right? The remake, right?
It was the Half-Life 2 Episode 2.
Oh yeah. Had that.
And there's a whole car sequence, and it would fall out the car.
Yeah.
And that's so I think that there'll always be very small little armistice zones somewhere.
I actually think that will not be necessary, simply because, yes, Pyro has shown that having no armistice zone can be bad for your health, but you have to remember that usually if those people camp the hubs, the security show on the station shows up and yeets them away. That's usually what will happen, and they get bad standing and so on.
We also are missing a couple of different. we're missing a couple of different factors. One of the other things is that like a lot of places, when you go to them, they will take your guns. Like we don't have that yet, where you have to go through a securities checkpoint.
That's the second thing.
Put your guns away and that kind of stuff.
Let's take Hurston. I would argue that when you visit Hurston, if you don't have excellent standing with them, you would get confiscated. Your armor gets confiscated. Your weapons get confiscated. So you're running around in cloth and maybe a pistol. Now, should you use this pistol to shoot a newbie, I could see not just a slight dip in reputation, but your whole reputation could drop down to negative. So all the things you have worked for hundreds, maybe thousands of hours, just evaporate into nothing.
Yeah.
So there can be.
So you need to do alter count. I mean.
Yeah. But
this is the thing. If CIG wants to have a game where someone's first experience can be shot in the head as soon as they come out of their first spawn zone, then that's probably not a good idea. So that, like, however limited, I want them to be as limited as possible, and I think we all want them to be as limited as possible. But I think that we should come to the terms with the fact that there'll probably always be a need for them in some places.
Like the apartments sort of thing where you can't carry around that makes sense. But I do think that CIG is going to do they'll do their best to create systems where you don't need that specific system in some way, because at a certain point, I also can see CIG being like, how the heck did you get a gun into that zone? And it's like, well, you worked for it. Like, you figured out a way to smuggle in a gun into that zone. You kind of deserve to just go crazy with that, because that's the game. Like, you broke the game mechanics.
And I mean, let's all remember, this is Star Citizen. And I quote you, Paul, as cringe as it is the Dark Souls of all space sims and MMOs.
Gosh. I did say that. I did say that. I did say that.
So,
it is the worst quote that I'm going to be quoted on all the time from now on.
Yeah. So considering that the whole game is intended to make you suffer, that you will probably not be helpless against most people trying to gun you down on civilized stations. I mean, Pyro is the Wild West. Pyro is a whole different beast. If we talk ARCorp or Hurston or Microtech, you could be gunned down there, in theory. It's the same like if you walk down the streets through a city. You could be gunned down. Usually it does not happen because there are systems in place to prevent this. And people have to face repercussions. So if we think about, maybe you shoot down someone in Microtech, but this could mean that you have a lifelong ban, whatever this means in that case, lifelong, on landing in New Babbage. So you can not land in New Babbage for.
There's definitely some stuff for that, but I think that a lot of that stuff is in the future. So I don't think that those videos necessarily are showing that we can expect in the future that we're going to see some of that. Let's get back onto the topic of like IAE though. So let's go with the negatives of IAE. So Jale, what are some of the negatives you've experienced with IAE? And then we'll end it with the positives. So.
I mean, the negative of IAE is that it's a hard deadline for a patch. And so the patch is going to come out whether it's ready or not. Mm-hmm. And I think the stability's been okay. But every time I get on a train, it's sort of doing this because the server can't quite keep up. And that's a little bit janky. And I think that to go back to the topic of Aegis, it kind of shows one of the problems that it's kind of rested on newness a lot, and Aegis is now at a stage of maturity where it can fill out the whole hull. All bits of the hull are full of Aegis ships right now, and all of them are either in their gold state or flyable and awaiting their gold state, awaiting reworks like the Retaliator, and it's just kind of boring if you've played the game last year or the year before that. You've seen it all. And how does Star Citizen keep up with an audience that's been built around following something that develops and changes and gets new every few months, when actually their content eventually reaches a state of maturity and you stop that and that tap turns off?
So you're thinking we're reaching that point with this, like Aegis is an example of like we're kind of reaching that point, and so that's kind of the negative side of things when it comes to IAE.
Yeah, and maybe that means that IAE's format of having daily manufacturers and the current haul that they've used for a few years, maybe they need to reformat that and reformat around fighter day and do it horizontally rather than longitudinally, or start pooling their larger manufacturers and having like a bigger expanse. But this is all kind of optimization of something that is kind of working for a lot, because for some people this will be the first time they've walked into that hall and they've seen the reclaimer towering over them and they can go through and explore all these ships, and that's super exciting. But it's that's the low point for me is okay, congratulations, we've reached the summit on this, and the view is beautiful, and the only way from here is down.
Yeah. Zark, negative aspects of IAE so far.
Yeah. Pretty short. It's an IAE.
Okay.
The
It's not
performance
new.
is bad. It's there's some positive things with
We'll get to them.
the Sulan, but get to the issue is, as Jale said, it's the same. It's the same as always. And I don't think that the format has reached its limit, because I believe that baseline, the IAE is what it's supposed to be. You have special manufacturer day, they're highlighted. Personally, I could see them extending the amount of halls so you have more. So you can always visit every manufacturer, but they have special highlight days with special small event or something. That's where we go in with the daily program we have right now. So maybe on Aegis Day there's a small show on the on stage or something. The problem is the missing gameplay. That's the issue, and it becomes glaring with every year. We see the solution. So all the gameplay parts, they're working on investigation missions. We have the raid mission. We have the new AR. We have scanning now. We have interior is marching forward. We have all the parts we need, or they are in the making, and probably within 12 months to bring the IAE to the next level. And that's, in my opinion, what will carry IAE in the future, because then it's not just, okay, for the 20th time in a row, I've visited the same halls, I've seen every manufacturer, I've seen every ship. I mean, I've been on every ship they have multiple times, and not because of IAE. And everyone will have this experience. If you play the game, you will board a constellation, you will find a derelict Idris, and obviously finding a derelict Idris and then seeing the complete one is definitely great, but you've seen it. So the big thing is, for the new players, I can go there, I can see everything, I can rent ships. Maybe there will be something like special deals, like in-game special deals you can get. You can buy an Anvil Arrow for 80% off because it's the show piece. Maybe you get a special special coloration for your ship. Maybe there are some other deals you can do. But the big thing for me is, as a long-time player, there has to be gameplay. And this gameplay could be actually the whole quarter. It could start with, you have great standing with Aegis. Aegis says to Hague, you're a great mercenary. We need to hire you to keep our ships safe when they travel from A to B.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you're on the hall. You have, depending on your standing with the security, you can get different missions. If you're a cargo hauler, weeks in weeks before the event starts, you can get missions to transport certain cargo elements, like food, like technical equipment over there. If you're an engineer, there can be a resource management gameplay where you can have to set up certain nodes and such. And then during the event you have gameplay, same line, the engineers that have to repair things. So there could be the light in some halls suddenly breaking. Then you have engineers getting the mission, going in, repairing things.
Yeah.
I talked about the bomb threat before. Then the whole thing is over. So now you have to clean up everything. You have to bring the ships back. The simple process of getting everything there, building those things up, bringing those things back, cleaning up. If they manage to give us gameplay for this, would be great, because let's say it's 6 weeks. That's 6 weeks of gameplay we only have in
Once a
this
year.
area,
Yeah.
and once a year.
I can see chat saying that, seeming that we're getting a bit moany. We are focusing on what is the lowest point.
We're talking
so-
about the negative aspects. Yeah.
I'm talking about this. We're talking about this from the perspective of this event is working. This event is doing well.
Yes.
It's just like, what's the lowest point and how can we improve it? We're not saying that it's not.
Yeah,
Still
And
the
I'll-
highlight. Of the camp,
I'll agree with Zark in the sense that there is definitely potential because there are gameplay aspects. There's gameplay that's repeatable and fun. Like, I still love Xenothreat. I will always love the Xenothreat event, as much as it's been dragged through the mud because CIG used it as a means to get people on to test broken 318. But I love it, and I think as the game progresses and as they start doing Xenothreat again and more, it'll get better, and they'll add more stages to it, and like these new missions, and like those events are repeatable, and people enjoy them, and they wait for them to come back. And I think that's the same thing you can do with IAE. If you had missions that were set up around helping set up the IAE, help problem solve at IAE, those little missions that players can do to help out and get money, but you can only interact with at IAE, people will do that because it's like, hey, I love this one mission that runs at IAE and only runs at IAE. I'm going to go there and do that. And it engages players to participate in the game beyond just, nice new shiny ship. And it gives, like, you still could kind of preserve that new player. When the new player comes in, they're just like, I've never seen anything like this in a game before. And then, the third year, that third year player can be like, I've done this already. What's going on? Oh, they have a repair mission. And then the 7-year veteran can be like, oh yes, great. It's time to do the sewer raids where we go fight the giant crocodile that's threatening to break into the Lorville convention center or something. So,
and you can have special achievements or special rewards for those missions. So, like as I said, some missions might only be available if you have a good standing with a certain company.
Yeah.
For example, let's say IAE swaps system to system to system. Some players only stay in Stanton. So they have great standing with everyone in Stanton. So if IAE comes around, they get missions they have never seen. It's all about high security protection. They get maybe even some policing rights or some things. Then next year, the whole thing is in Terra. Now the players in Terra get this opportunity, while the players from Stanton, they might get still have some reputation with the organizers. With the organizers from IAE, so they can still get some contracts, but they don't get the high level ones that require a lot of reputation. So you can even filter this out depending on where you are and for whom you're working.
Okay. I will say as well, just kind of the downside is that, I think the biggest negative aspect is that it's more of the same. There are good aspects to it, as I mentioned earlier, and I'm going to go to more like the glowing aspects here in a moment. But I do think...
Aside with werewolves, the last day is FPS. Is an FPS exhibition. There will be all about weapons and armor.
Yeah, and you can rent
Is that new? I don't remember that being there.
That was there 2 years ago. I think they started doing it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like a low key, like there was like the bottom hall. It was like that area. They may actually be doing the full
usually they keep it together with best in show up stage, and then lower floors FPS.
So.
Yeah, I think we've seen that it's going to have it's going to be the main floor.
Yeah.
But it does run concurrently with other things because there's the Xi'an armor manufacturer sort of debuting to the non-subscriber population, isn't there?
Hook 2005. There is actually already been a reward from a faction, and that was for Xenothreat. If you had high enough reputation with the CDF, then you got a special armor set.
And CIG talked about it at CitizenCon this last year that they wanted to start doing a lot of those aspects, and they seem to imply that that's something that they want to do sooner rather than later.
The systems are there. Yeah, if they wanted to, they could.
they have the systems. They just need to build out the gameplay to support those systems. So, and that's really what they were talking about at CitizenCon. All right, let's go with the positives. I'm going to start with Jale on this one. Jale, positives. What are the positives about this year's IAE?
The Gatsax Yulen.
Go
It's
for
a beautiful ship. It's a beautiful ship.
You have the floor for the next 20 minutes.
I mean, I know that some people were hoping it would be like a direct one-to-one competitor with the Nomad.
Mhm.
It's a starter. It's a daily driver. It's a do a little bit of everything, not very well kind of ship. Like we've had a bunch of them. Personally, I love that kind of ship. I love having a little run around because personally, I mostly still just like explore the game. I don't really do much actual playing, and it's nice to do it in style. It was also a beautifully lore integrated ship. I was watching your stream before joining, and I know there was a bit of a segment about like how many people at CIG actually care about the lore.
Yeah,
and we're getting 3 new vessels this IAE.
Yeah,
and a lot has been said about how one of them is not very fun, not very well integrated, and doesn't fit with the manufacturer design guidelines.
Yeah.
And
the storm.
the storm.
Yeah.
And I think at the complete opposite end of the scale, the Yulen, you listen to the designers and they're like going, oh, well, we picked up on the idea that the Xi'an like natural things, so that's why the habitation is all wreathed in stone. But also, if you listen to the soundtrack, which they haven't gone into, but you can listen to it on like purified on data mining, all 3 floors have their own ambient soundtrack, and the habitation deck has running water as part of its ambient sounds, and it's got the labels all over the place saying, this is the cooler, and it just shows that like that is something which is an enriching experience to everyone, even if you haven't read the Lawmaker's Guide from 2012 that went into Xi'an toilet habits. It's like, or whatever else. It is something that's being well received because it has all that thought and value put into it. And it's a fun ship to fly. It's a fun ship to fly. It's a fun ship to look at, and it represents a strong design ethic that I think should be instructive to CIG.
Yeah, I'll agree with that in just 100%. That it like the designers of that ship cared about everything about that ship, because they're like, this is new and different, but it's also, we have constraints. Here's this understanding of Xi'an culture that we need to adapt into this ship and make it fit. And that's why it feels so alien. It's the most alien of the alien ships we have, because almost everything else is like somewhat human. I love the hollowed out carcass of some sort of sea creature that is the defender, but it's still very human. Sit in a chair, do the things. Not like completely built vertically and your ship, you're tilted back on your back to go up into your cockpit kind of situation. So, Zark, go ahead.
Yeah. So there's
Positives.
The positive is the Yulen as well. And almost it's the first time a ship has torn me that much in half, because on the one hand, I want it. On the other hand, there are some small things that just bug me. And for example, there is no space to store food.
Yeah, because by making it in a way where you go, oh well, Xi'an don't need to eat for 3 days, so there wouldn't be any food storage, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's true.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there. I'm going through the ship. It's great. Where's my food? That's like, yeah. I mean, I know you don't haven't thought about it because you aren't supposed to use the ship for a week.
That
I think 3 days not eating.
Go ahead, Joe.
I think if there's one area where there's a design decision they made that, like, if we had another few months to work it, like, would be made better, is in the habitation deck. You've got the bathroom, fantastic. You've got the bed, fantastic. And then you've got this desk which has no apparent function, and you can just about see out. Yeah. And that space could have been used for something different, and it could have been used for, there could be a cabinet above that's marked, like for fermentation. Switch in the back set to, is this a Xi'an fermentation or is it a refrigerator?
And there's a chair coming up if you press the button. So it's designed to sit down there. But what are you doing then? But
so that's my 1 point of
same.
That
It's this great ship, and then if you don't know the lore, you might think it's a mistake. If you know the lore about John that they don't have to eat 3 days, it's a feature that's great, but it's terrible at the same time, and I love it.
I will say that reminds me of, there's an article that they wrote, which was like a lore article of somebody who was trying to figure out why the Luminalia lasted a certain number of days. So she went around to all of her Banu friends and we're like, why does this the day? And they were like, because that's how much oil there is in here. And they're just like, why does it last this many beats? It's like, because that's what the oil holds in the oil. Why are you asking this question? It's an obvious answer. What? and she was just like, no. But why is there only enough oil in that to last 3 days? And they're like, because it's built to have enough oil for 3 days. Like, it just, what do you mean? Yeah. Well, that's a stupid question. Stop asking stupid questions. And that's that kind of like alien mentality, which I love, which is like that concept of like, wait, Xi'an don't need to eat for 3 days, so why would they have storage for a short range ship? And you're not going to be out for more than 3 days.
But the best thing about the Sulen is, it is Sulen. Is it Jale? Sulen?
Sulen.
Huh?
Sulen.
It's like the word
Sulen.
suit. Yeah, it's like if you wear like a business suit, and it's Sulen.
Sulen.
So, in my opinion, the Sulen is the best straight to flyable release, as well as the best release of a ship ever.
Oh, I
not
agree.
Because of the iconic ship, but because it's out. I can rent it, I can test fly it, and then I can choose, do I want it? So in my opinion, if CIG sees this, what they should do with every straight to flyable as well as normal release of a ship from now onward. Release the ship, give it a 1 week free rental in game, where you can go to the hall, rent it for a day, and be done. Because I was really like, okay, it looks great. Not sure if I want to buy it. I went in, I rented it, I flew with it, and the flight, it's great. The flight is, oh boy. If you haven't flown it, it's crazy. You wouldn't think it flies differently. I mean, aside from landing and starting, because, okay, you start vertically and then it's fine. Even this can be tricky because you have to fly out of some hangars like this, which is very scary because the camera doesn't turn right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you fly it, the sound, you don't have any sound from outside, like with most other ships. The complete sound of the ship is so alien, and the way it moves, not even the Cartual moves as strange and non-human as this ship.
Yeah.
So now after flying it, I'm really like, I have to get it. And I still have a cutter on my starter pack, so it's not even that expensive, so I have to get it.
Yeah. You can cross-country upgrade it to it too, so.
Yeah. Was a CIG from now on, every set to flyable, give it, okay, maybe not a week-long period, but let's say 2-day rental. Every other ship also. Give people the chance to rent it, fly it, test it, buy it.
I can see General Rendar saying something that's
I've heard it pronounced different, yeah.
Yeah. Have you heard CIG pronounce anything consistently? Do you prefer going to Horizon or Horizon or
Horizon?
Orison?
And I always use the argument for Orison, which is, what do they say in game? And everyone knows what they say in game because that ad is the only ad in the entirety of the Stanton system, and it runs on every station 24/7. And they say, "Come visit Orison." And it's like when people are like, well, CIG says Horizon. I'm like, that's how I know they don't play their fucking game because it says Orison everywhere in the goddamn game.
They're always playing their game. They're running around on their Idris.
Yeah.
Aegis. I mean, even I, as a non-native native speaker, know it's Aegis.
Well, it's not even English. It's Greek.
Yeah, usually it would be pronounced, I believe, Aegis.
Aegis, yeah.
So,
yeah.
Aegis, and if you English fired, it would be Aegis.
Yeah.
And even if you say, okay, there is a variant calling it CU Len, which sounds stupid. You could always argue, okay, one is the military dialect.
Yeah, because Cal Mason. So somebody's saying, oh, Cal Mason says Jean rather than Xian. Cal Mason's saying it correctly if you pronounce it in the military dialect.
And that makes sense for Cal Mason. Because Cal Mason has never encountered any Xian other than the military Xian.
yeah, and he's come up through the military that's trained them on like the history of their fight with the Jean, and like that's like, I mean, it did come from one of these things where they couldn't agree on how to pronounce it, so they decided, both. But never look to CIG for orthography when it comes to pronunciation. Orthophony? I don't know.
All right, I'll say the positive overall in terms of like this being the best IAE is that there is something new for returning folks. They've changed things up. Like one of the biggest things I've said in the past is that if you go to a card convention or any convention at all, it's never just about the one thing. Like you go to a gaming convention, you will find booths for gaming chairs, gaming supplement for like food. You'll find like the military recruiting at those places. You'll find different peripheral like sellers. You'll find subscription services. Like anything that is related to gaming will be at a gaming convention, not just games. And same with cars. You'll see different like insurance companies and people that's trying to sell their different like seat covers and all these other things, that sorts of things. And that's what IAE should be. It should be this big celebration of all things ships and ship related. So we should see components and weapons and insurance companies, and then so they're finally starting to see some of those with like the cargo corner and the mining corner. Those are great. So I think overall it's a fantastic addition and kind of evolution of the idea. So any final thoughts on this before we move into the question and answers? Zark, your overall thoughts on IAE 2953 so far?
Yeah. For now,
keep to it like a sentence.
I'm feeling a bit iffy. Like there's something still missing we don't know yet.
Okay. So you're iffy, but do you think there's something coming?
Yeah.
Jale?
Aside from the special thing on the last day.
Okay. Your overall thoughts, Jale?
I'm looking forward to seeing what Everyday has for their conference page and little video, if they all have a little video. And I don't think I could say that from about the last couple. So the last couple of IAs. So I think that's indicative of what they can still do innovating for even people who are way over invested in their attention as us.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're revealing that? We saw that back in 2017.
Yeah.
That's
the jaded, cynical, we've done this before sort of people.
Yeah.
I will say my final thoughts is this is a good evolution. Please continue to evolve. And the only evolution I would see beyond this is, those videos that you're putting on the page, you're putting that little hiding in those little brochures. Put them in game. Let people see them on the floor. Give the audio. And the other critique I have is turn the music down. Dear God, the music is so loud in the hall. turn it down like 25% down lows. That way it doesn't overwhelm everything. So all right, with that, we're going to be moving into the question and answer session. So if you've enjoyed this so far, make sure you check out Jale. Go please watch all of Jale's videos from beginning to end for the very start to the very end, because they need more watch hours, and go subscribe to them as well, because they're trying to get monetization, and they're very close. And I guarantee you will like all of those videos. Even if you don't want to learn how to speak Jean, you'll be able to pick up on a lot of different unique little things about the genre from those videos, let alone all of the crazy. He made a dish that only existed in lore, live, or hollow.
I when we had the Invictus events, they said, "Oh yeah, the cafeteria serves halwa, gaja halwa." I was like, "Well, that's going to be my video." So it's like a lore tour of the Warhammer while I'm making gaja halwa, and it's still one of my favorite videos.
Love it. And of course, check out Zark and join the other members of the league in taking your stuff and putting it in a museum for the safety of all and for the future generations. And of course, if you enjoy this, make sure what's up?
Just give us your stuff and you're free to go. We only want the old stuff, so it's fine.
Yeah. We just want the old stuff. Just give us your rocks and we'll be fine. Your concrete. We'll take your concrete. Your chunks of concrete that have fallen off your habitat. And of course, make sure you check us out live. We do this on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Twitch.tv/TheAstroPub and YouTube.com/TheAstroPubLive. Love to have you come by. Until then, we'll be right back. Take a few minutes, and then when we come back, we'll take questions. So, like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black. Chat, we'll be right back.
Jale?
No, the Endeavor is not hull limited. It never has been. So Zark's still here. We're just waiting for Jale to come back. $350 is, I believe, yes. No, it could be. It could not be hull limited, but it might be. No SFX right now, 2010. No. It's just literally not in this scene collection. Is that a legitimate question, or is that a Captain's Table question? Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that here. No, modules aren't available yet. You can purchase some of them, but you can't apply them.
I'm really curious what they'll do with the Starfarer once they rework her.
I think mostly just the interior that needs reworked. That thing is is poorly made, interior-wise.
Yeah, I mean, that was from the time where they designed ship interiors like FPS levels.
Well, it was also the very first large ship they've ever did, the Starfarer. Like they never really they had no idea what they were doing at the time.
Though I believe they might have to do some fixes on the outside.
All right. Are you good to go, Jale? I see your back, so I didn't make sure you're good. You good?
Yeah, I'm just tweeting.
Got it. Tweet. All right, I'm gonna bring us back in 3. And we're back with the question and answer session with Jale and Zark for our IAE 2953 special. So let's get started. These are answering questions directly from chat that you asked. We've got 17 questions so far. And if you want to ask questions, if you're on Twitch chat, I don't have a unified version yet. So if you ask in YouTube chat, I may not be able to answer it. Just redeem the Captain's Table question coin, and I'll do my best to answer it as best as possible. So, starting off with Northern Trooper, who asks, with the Sulian being the first ship from Gatak that we can fly, what is your feeling on seeing how the Raylan will look once it's released? What other types of ships from Gatak would you like to see and fly? Jay, I'll start with you on this one since it's your area of expertise. So,
I doubt that they will go for making it completely vertical in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
They might, but I think that probably the general form factor won't change. I think the biggest change you're going to see to the Raylan, sorry, I should say Rylen. The biggest change you're going to see to the Rylen is actually something we can see in the Squadron 42 video. I held the line, where we can see that the cargo containers have been radically redesigned. And someone pointed out to me that actually there's another shape in there. They appear to be rhomboidal dodecahedra, and then they can be decomposed down into sort of, I think they're called rhombohedra, which is like two pyramids stuck together. So they tessellate better. And I almost think that we're going to see like cargo on a cob, where it's going to be like a structure that comes out the back that tessellating containers can stick to, because they're seen stuck to one another in the video. So I think we're going to see more a radical redesign around that sort of back end, but it's going to keep the same kind of design ideas of its living quarters and the nice kind of like material segregation of living quarters from working quarters.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think because the reason why in my opinion at least, the reason why the Sulian is, did I say it right? Did I do it right? Sulen.
Sulen is better than Sulian, let's say.
Okay, Sulen. The Sulen is probably more along the lines of they didn't have a lot of space to work with. So the Gatak, the engineers just said, let's just do what we normally do. Like let's do normal Xi'an styling rather than trying to go for this hybrid stuff. So they went vertical rather than horizontal, because it's only one person. Whereas like you see something like the Raylan is designed to be a hybrid crew possible. So Xi'an and humans together. So they meant for the more traditional human style because it would make more sense, and there's multiple different crew members and stuff like that. So I can see the reason why, but I don't think it's going to get vertical. No, I don't think it's going to go vertical the same way.
I think if they'd made the Sulen first, they would make the Raylan
vertical.
Vertical.
Yeah.
But they haven't gone that way.
I don't think so. So I don't think the Raylan will change much, if at all. Maybe some of the materials. Reason being is, As Jean like verticality, Jean like to play with Graflev. We will see a lot of those flimsy things floating in the air in the Rylan, but you still have to remember you have to load and unload the ship.
Mhm.
And the reason why the Rylan, why the Suilen can launch vertically is it doesn't have a lot of cargo you have to put on it. It's 6 boxes you put, and even then those boxes get nearly burned with the smaller thrusters. So if we take the Rylan, you have those big cargo pods, so you have to keep the ship somewhat stable. You could create something that would flip the main part on top or something, or turn it completely. But I'm not sure how effective this is, especially since we know that Jean are not just about verticality, but also transformation of the ships. That's what we've seen with the Catual, the Santokiai, what we've seen with the Rylan. Same with the decks. I don't think that they will really make them even more vertically. I mean, it already has 3 or 4 decks. It is very vertically for a ship its size.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we were saying was like, we don't think it's going to change either.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of like, if they had done it in a different order,
Yeah.
they probably would now be going like, oh, Elgatic, that's the vertical brand. But that's not the case.
I don't think so, because it would be a huge pain to work with the cargo capacity. I actually think that I mean, personally, I would love to see the capital ship. That's probably the one.
It's almost certainly
Squadron.
vertical. Oh, it's almost certainly vertical. Like, because that was built when like they had the concept of vertical. So
I would like to see if that's the Gatak ship, because then we could see how that would work in a larger scale. Because I could actually see the ships being vertically, and the cargo stacking on top behind, but still flying forward. That's what I could see. So for the crew segregation, especially, it was a genre that have rather strict hierarchy, right?
Yeah, more so than...
So I could actually see them having in their ships where Banu have everything in one place. I could see the verticality actually being used to resemble the importance of things, maybe even the importance of crew.
Possibly, yeah. I mean,
this
so
would
this
make sense.
This is one of the findings of my video that I put out most recently, is that in the unused parts of the texture files for the Sulen, you have the word for cabin, then you have standard peasant cabin, captain's cabin, and very important person cabin. And I think that's my theory being that those are actually from the cargo ship. Yeah, they're probably going to have like stratified, like 3 tiers of stratified accommodations on a larger ship, and we will see what that actually, how they distribute those.
And you would probably also have like entrance points down, then maybe working space for dirty work, engineering, and you go up, and the pilots are always on top. And if it makes sense, they might launch horizontal, simply because pilot is on top, flying horizontal, okay. If the ship is not built for this, simply because it's too large, it would still fly normally, but the pilot would be on top. Would make sense for a hierarchical culture to use it in vertical ships.
Yeah, but I mean, you also have different aspects. But I think there's another actually connection question to that. What parts of the Sulian do you want to see incorporated into the Rylan? And what would you improve and how, or change altogether? And what other things would you like to see if it fits the Big Brother, but not the Sulian itself? That fit the bigger ship, the obviously larger Gatak ship that is in Squadron 42. I think the question is, what parts would you want to see incorporated from the Sulian into the Rylan? How would you improve the Rylan? I mean, honestly, my initial thing is I would redesign the Sulian so it looks like the Rylan in terms of verticality, but I know that's probably off the table at this point.
You mean you want to redesign the Rylan to make it look like the Sulian?
Sulian, yeah.
No, I get you. I think that the really kind of throwaway use of transformation is something we know that they want to do anyway, but the extent to which they've used it in the Sulen, I think, is very effective. It's always something where it's like it's almost kind of presented trivially. Like you open a door and part of it will hover just because, just like a little bit of the door jamb will hover to the side, and that's like. I think that works. I think it works to sell that kind of like indistinguishable from magic idea, but that goes beyond just like the aesthetic of it, because you've got the panels where the whole wall shimmers out and shifts, and then your guns fold out, and they fold out in a sequence, and it all glows. That is what I'm in a game to play. That is great.
Yeah.
I love my gun walls. And the other element, as I mentioned, is that kind of, and Zark was mentioning as well, is that segregation of aesthetics of like the dirty workspace, the habitation space, and the kind of high profile, clean workspace is both something that can be easily communicated to any audience, and something which is rooted in the lore and the language, where they even describe two kinds of work between like thinking work and manual work as like two different kinds of people do those kind of work.
Okay,
and that's cool.
Just a slight interruption there. So we have, for the Royal N, we have the ship entrance area. Then there's crew quarters, main turret, bathroom. So I say for a trading house, less desirable parts, getting waste done, having to fight. And then we have ship items, docking, and cockpit on the top area. So there is.
Yeah, I think that like even waste rooms, they take their health and like personal hygiene really seriously, because they've got to survive hundreds of years, but you still got to look after yourself. So I think that bathroom areas or kawong will always be quite plush, quite nice, quite thought out, rather than dirty places.
Yeah, because that was another question, which is I think for you, Jale. I think for you and me, Jale, which is Del Anar asks, do the Xi'an keep their bird baths clean? Because I've noticed the bird bath is also the only sink in that bathroom.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think it's implied to be like flowing water, so it's kind of more like a bidet kind of situation.
Yeah,
but with more of a pooling, because a bidet usually just like pours water and then it flows immediately away, whereas this is more like pouring into a pool.
Do they need water? I mean, they could just use gravity alone to collect everything.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
maybe even compromise it and then put it away discreetly.
There's also standards. Like I always like to use the example of like in Star Trek, everyone complains about sonic showers. Like sonic showers are things they all have to use, but it's like usually using sound to strip the dirt off of their bodies. And you'll hear the characters complain like, I just want a real shower. I just want to feel water on my skin, because they don't want to feel the restrictions. And I can see the Xi'an being like, yeah, but why would you? It's not clean to use gravity. Just use water, because that's clean. That's it's natural.
Take human practices.
Yeah.
You go to the bathroom, you do your business, you use some paper to clean, and then you wash your hands. Is the paper necessary?
Yeah.
You're going to wash your hands anyway.
Yeah.
Now that is a specious question. Please don't clip that out of context. But like you could look at our practices and sort of pick them apart for efficiency's sake and find holes as well. So
yeah. All right, and then but just. I don't know enough about the biological functions of Xi'an and how they get to the point where they do the number 2 and number 1 combined, but I'm not going to get into that detail because that is more detail than I want.
For those people who are interested, just Google on YouTube like bird biology, birdification.
Yeah.
You should be happy with what you find.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's see this. There's a couple more. This is a general one, but I think we already answered this with just like, what's your thoughts on the Sulian? What were you surprised? Were you surprised at the price? And any chance of variance, and if so, what kind? Here's the thing that I would say about variants, and this is the thing, I don't think the Xi'an have the concept of variants necessarily.
Yeah.
Like there is for like the Nox has 2 different variants, but like variance is such a human idea that I think that CIG might actually say like these species don't know what that means. Like, why would you build the same ship to do something different? Just build a different ship.
They've only recently learned, as far as their perspective, they only recently learned the concepts of shopping and branding from us.
Yeah.
So, okay. So maybe they could have, maybe they will, but I don't think they will. I think that we'll get paints.
Personally, I would love to see something like the Sulen, but more aimed as a Cutlass competitor.
Mm-hmm.
That would be what I consider variant. And to be honest,
be like a medium ship though, like because the Sulen's a small ship.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean they don't have variants because it doesn't fit them. So they would design something similar for a different purpose. And right now, it's been a couple. I think it was last week. I've watched a video about where they broke down all the ships we have, what's done, and so on and so forth. And medium ships are one of those ship sizes we don't have a lot. And I think and to be honest, I wouldn't want it from Gatak, but a different manufacturer, just so they can shift the focus a bit more away from cargo, maybe something else. But in the same vertical style, aimed to be a Cutlass, a freelancer competitor, something along those lines.
If there is a Sulen variant, I think I can predict what it'll be.
Go for it.
It would be their endurance racer. So they have this Kawa, which is the holy race in its endurance racing, and if they do a variant, it would be a variant for that. So stripped back racing, best speed, best efficiency kind of thing.
That's stepping on House Poa's house right there. Just set up there and punch him in the face, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it wouldn't be hard to make. I mean, interior doesn't need to change. You remove the cargo things.
Yeah, you probably remove
you add some more thrusters.
Yeah, remove the cargo, remove the stone, maybe, and
I wouldn't leave it. I would actually leave it in. Simply because
and that's why you don't work in racing design.
it's just it looks like stone. It doesn't have to be stone. You don't know what it's made of.
Yeah.
It's alien material.
Yeah.
So that's why I say leave it in. Keep the alien design inside. Maybe trim it more to speed in some degree.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably replace it with the.
I think it would be a variant that's more. That's where the exterior is a lot more different than the interior actually, because you have to remove the 3 cargo holding things.
Yeah.
And instead, you probably put on another 3 thrusters. Maybe you make the single thruster a double-edged one or something.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe replace it with the replace the stone with their sort of alien carbon fiber that they've been working out for the Santokyai.
Yeah. And in terms of the price, I was not too surprised. I'm surprised that the standalone variant is so cheap, because it's $65. I was expecting it to be more like $75 or $80. Yeah. But the package being $85, like that's about what I was thinking, because I wasn't even thinking it being sold as a single ship. I was thinking it was just this package because it's a starter ship. So I was just like, yeah, that makes sense. That tracks. So I think it's the ship itself is worth it simply because of its novelty. It is so alien and so different from everything we have that it's worth picking up just because it's like the I'm gonna throw John Crew under the bus here, but it's like Twingo, right? The Twingo is just a weird car. It's a common car, but it's very weird. Or like the Reliant Robin. Nobody likes the Reliant Robin. It was garbage. The 3-wheel tri-wheeled car doesn't make any sense. Doesn't mean you don't sit there and go, that's different. I'd like to own one of those just because it's weird, you know?
And if you have your backpack filled with food and drinks, this ship can do a lot for you. I mean, you can fly around, do stuff. You have your cargo crates where you can put
Yeah.
in loot you find. You have quite a nice living interior. The thing is fast. It is very nimble. So even if you're close to the ground, you can fly great. Size 3 guns are nothing to snooze at. So even some slight dogfighting is okay. Coupled with with its agility, it's not too bad. I wouldn't recommend going into a fight, but you could. And you have some good amount of missiles just to escape. So as far as starters go, it's pretty much one of the best ones you can get, in my opinion.
I also think that, like, as a philosophical point for Star Citizen, if you've ever complained this ship looks like it's been kit bashed together, or you've ever thought, like, oh, the Talons, they've just kind of went, oh, the Tavaran are birds, so their ships are going to look like birds. Great. Yeah, birds equals birds. Fantastic. And end of thought process. And you thought that wasn't what you want. The Sulan represents the very opposite of that. The Sulan represents something which is like extremely customized, extremely creative, and extremely rooted in the lore. And if that's the kind of thing you want to see CIG doing, then voting with your wallet is a way to register that, and that's what I've kind of done. Right?
If you want, all of you have asked this. I know you are. I know you're in chat and you're watching this right now, recorded after the fact. You've asked me the question: when are they going to do an alien trade ship, like an alien salvage ship or an alien miner? Buy this ship, and they'll make that. They'll probably be like, people want aliens. Let's do a Xi'an miner, or something like that. So, because that's literally the Gatak. That's what Gatak would make, is those sort of ships. So, yeah, if you want something like this, but industrial,
And I can't stress it enough. It's not just the look of the ship. The flight itself. I flew the Talon. I flew the Cartwheel. I flew the Defender. They fly like human ships. The Cartwheel is a bit more nimble than normal human ships, but it still feels very human to fly. Simply because I say for the Cartwheel is probably due to the audio mostly. But still, it does. But even if I ignore the audio, it does not feel as alien as the Sulan does. The Sulan is just, I mean, you probably agree, Jale, but no ship flies like it. No ship flies like it.
Yeah. It feels like a completely unique experience.
The landing and starting. That's the icing on top.
Yeah, because it's not like a transform. It's not like fly like this. You have to literally fly it reversed in your brain, like up and down is different from back, left and right.
No,
right?
You fly it normally, but you have to land it reversed in your brain.
Okay. Yeah. It's always thinking like, oh yeah, I usually press spacebar to get off the ground if I don't have my joysticks out, and it's like, no, it's a different button. Okay.
Yeah.
And the thing is, for the flight, it's the audio. The audio, it's completely different from any other ship. The sound of the thrusters, it's just
I think for me it's the view, because you feel like it's not that you don't see the ship around you, but you feel like you're strapped on top of it like this.
Yeah.
And you can just about see in your peripheral vision, but everything else in front of you.
And I mean, it would change, but the handling right now, I wouldn't say it's like you fly on rails, because this ship, the way it reacts to your input is it's not something you're used to if you fly anything else. And it's this whole package, it's just great.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to try to get through all of these ships, because there's a lot of questions about the Sulan. Think of the Sulan. It feels pretty premium interior design. Does Xi'an have a luxury ships like Origin for humans? And do you think we'd see them in game if we do? Jale, let's answer this question. But yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Maybe we don't know, because we only have 4 houses that we know about. I think
we know about more houses, but we don't really know about standards of luxury. We can speculate, but it's not known.
I think we have to remember what they said when they presented us with the toilet. what we think of as luxury or elegance, like the whole toilet coming from the wall, assembling itself, and so
Yeah.
on. This is pretty much what your homemade coffee machine is for you. That's the same level. For Jean, this is nothing more exciting than a fridge. It's just something that's supposed to be there. That's supposed to work like this. The weapon rack, we find it great. The way the door slide away, we find it great. You
So actually,
wouldn't
fridge is it?
gawking if you turn the key in your door and open your door. You wouldn't go, oh, my door opened. My door
Yeah.
opened. Oh. No, it's just that's how it's supposed to be. And that's kind of the thing what makes the ship look so luxurious, because the viewpoint is so different.
A fridge is actually
And I-
exotic alien technology to Xi'an, though.
Yeah, it's true.
And I could actually see. Okay, hear me out on this. Luxury brand for the genre.
Mm-hmm.
They value nature. So the luxury ships would actually work with very little gravtech. There you have to push open the doors. You have to light flames to make light. There is as little technology in those ships as possible, because you go back to nature. You go back to the roots.
I think it really depends. I think I would almost be certain that CIG hasn't thought about it yet, any of this stuff yet, because it's just not in their wheelhouse yet. Like once they get to it, they'll figure it out, because it's just kind of how it works,
But
so.
that's
I think
something.
Jale, hello. Am I good?
You won't get multiple standards, and it will just be that's the standard. That luxury, whatever we see, that is the standard, and that's what we'll see.
Yeah, I mean,
We got a lot of
because they don't have
questions, so I want to get through some of this because we're already at 22. I'm gonna have to pause here shortly. With Gatak releasing this the Sulian, right? No, wrong.
Yulen.
Sulen. I put the E in, so
Sulen, right?
Sulen. Yeah. Do you think there will be more Xi'an or alien alien ground vehicles in the near future?
My opinion on alien ground vehicles is that they should move the NOx to Gatak, because it appears to be a civilian vehicle more than it is military, and I think that's a better branding decision. They are free to make more. There's words in the language to imply that they have more, and like craft which just go in atmosphere. But the thing is, I don't think that investing heavily in ground vehicles as a game at the moment for Star Citizen is the right move.
Yeah.
I think this IAE we probably see how CIG might move forward with ships and ground vehicles. Meaning that we will see they will pick one manufacturer that they work on, like they told us in CitizenCon. They try to flesh the large ships out if there's some space left. Then they work up the backlog on other large manufacturers. And everything small they bring out, they probably push as close to straight to flyable, as well as trying to fill out some of the gapes we still have, like small alien starter ship, like medium alien ship, alien ground vehicle, something, alien rover, for example. Same with human ships. We could see more medium ships coming down. That's kind of like where I feel they are heading for. That they try to bring us more of the medium-sized ships. Or personally, I consider the Sulan a medium-sized ship. And those things probably straight to flyable, and they will go pretty fast spread, so they can make what they can just round out the collection, and everything large will very much depend. I think that once they've decided on the next manufacturer after RSI, this manufacturer will probably get 2 or 3 large ships, so it's worth to work on it. But in the meantime, we will get medium-sized ships or small ships from everything, wherever something will be. I think we might see something from Argo next year, simply
Like
because
an Argo
there is
ground
so
vehicle?
few.
Okay.
For example.
Let's move on to the next question, which is from Doc Platypus, which is a little off. I don't know what Doc is asking. What are the 3 alien concepts you would like to see CIG announce to replace the BMM, which obviously isn't coming out this year? I'm going to be very honest. I think the answer is we're not going to get any alien ships next year or this year. We might get more Gatak and Aopoa, but I don't think they're going to be doing a lot more alien concept ships, just like I don't think they're going to be doing a lot more capital ship announcements, just because they just don't have the resources and the time to do it. What do you think there, Zark? Do you think we're going to see replacements? Yeah, go for it, Zark.
Okay. So, we will not see any replacement for the BMM. What I can see is we'll see some more banner ships just to bring the people up to speed once they decide, okay, we want to release the BMM in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And this would be the first concept ship I can see. And would be a Banu food truck. Medium size to Connie size ship. It is a food truck. It's Banu. This would be my pitch. Simply because I think it fits them very well. Like you land, you can pretty much open up most of the ship, and like most of the ship just folds up, and then you have a huge bar that just lands somewhere. would be awesome in my opinion.
But yeah, that's gonna be a while though. That would be a while.
Yeah, I think that perhaps
once they say
Jale.
BMM should go. Yep, Jale.
I think perhaps the important question is, what do they need to make the BMM? What do they need to make to be the road to the BMM? And I think a Banu 300i, 400i, sorry.
Yeah.
And or Constellation kind of equivalent would be a good addition and a good place on the road to get the BMM.
The Banu Trip Taker.
Trip Taker.
For those who don't know, it's the only lore ship of the Banu that exists, which is called the Trip Taker, which is like it shows up in the Gift for Baba.
Yes, for Baba.
So it's a good one. Go ahead, Zark. You said you had a couple other ones.
Yeah. So second ship would be a large, actually a Tavern Corvette. Would be just something I would love the style of. And the last one would be very simple and not something new, but the large Jean capital ship. Just the scene where you run around the wall, because that's one thing I'm missing from our Jean ships.
Is gravity weirdness.
Of freedom.
Yeah.
The 6 degrees of freedom you have inside.
Oh yeah.
And I'd like to see a ship where I don't care what it is.
You go in,
you walk on the walls. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
All right. We've got a couple more. I paused questions because people keep coming back in with more questions. Del Enter asks, "What would you wish? What do you wish CIG could do or will do with the Karens? Citizens for Pyro booth at IAE. Okay, Karens for Pyro. That's my joke. I don't know. I wish we would see it leading to an event, but I don't think so. I think it's just background dressing. Because it's just weird, because I didn't know or think that the Citizens for Pyro were xenophobic, but it seems like CIG is implying that they're xenophobic. Which is weird.
I think they're setting them up as a mission giver for people who are law-abiding Stanton-based people to go to Pyro, rather than Pyro being this kind of closed pirate system.
Yeah.
No. Okay, I don't have any tinfoil here, so just imagine the tinfoil head.
Okay.
I could see the Citizen of Pyros being set up, and the first test for the Earth-Terra War. So
that's a bold move there, Cotton.
Yeah, as I said, imagine the tinfoil.
Yeah.
So thing is, we have the Citizen of Pyro. They now try to get help from Stanton.
Mm-hmm.
Stanton has the trouble that they are attacked on a xenothreat, so they have some investment, some interest to go. We need to get Pyro safe.
Mhm.
So you pretty much have the Stanton and Citizen of Pyros versus Pyro gangs, and Ninetales, Dusters. So pretty much law against outlaw.
Outlaws, yeah.
And now you pitch in the players to choose sides, and you make the whole thing dynamic, and you make the whole thing affect the universe.
Okay, so you're saying more of like setting it up, possibly setting up for like similar to how you'd eventually see Terra and Earth kind of where the players make the decisions. So
I could see this really like the test bed for huge player-driven events that actually change the gameplay experience and the systems they revolve around.
Make sure that tinfoil is nice and tight in your head, though, because otherwise CIG will read your thoughts. All right. Do you feel the new alien ship the new alien starter ship looks similar to the ship in the last Starfighter? I do, but I also think that it has a lot of it looks very similar to the Vulcan ship in Star Trek First Contact. I think it's that. What do y'all think? Does it look like the Death Blossom or whatever it was called?
Yeah, there are quite a few ships that look similar too.
Yeah, I think it's actually unique enough that I couldn't compare it to any other ship. There's nothing that I can sit there and be like, oh, that's the inspiration for this ship. It looks unique.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's sufficiently original.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
it.
it's original, but but there are some ships out of other universes that have the similar aesthetic, I say, with the 3-star type thing.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. All right. Stephen the Dancer asks, how do you feel CIG should do orgs that shut down a jump point to a system like Pyro, so that no one can get there? How do you feel? What do you feel CIG should do, Steve? Nothing. Like the CIG has very much been said like, oh, someone's shutting down the area. Get your friends and go kill them, or rally up a posse and go take care of them. Like that's what CIG kind of wants to do.
I quote Paul once more. Star Citizen is the dark soul of all space games. So, if someone comes around, wants to fuck with you, shoot them. If you can't shoot them, get a bigger gun. If the bigger gun doesn't help, get more guns.
Yeah.
It's very basic. I
think the question is, like, more interestingly, what systems can they put in so that when players create a logjam, that other players are kind of signaled to go and unblock it through missions? Yeah. Or are they just going to leave it entirely down to word of mouth, which would probably be a more frustrating world to live in if it was just
so lore-wise, and Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, but depending on the system, jump points are guarded more or less heavily.
Yeah, so but it's not really a lore question as much as like a game design question.
What systems
are they going to put them in?
Gameplay-wise, depending on the system, it might not be feasible for small or even medium-sized orcs to shut down a jump point because they just get shot down.
The question is more focused on like the Pyro side of things. Like, what happens if there's a group of players just on the Pyro side of the jump point, just shooting everything that moves? And I think the answer is there are definitely going to be gameplay mechanics like factions. Obviously, factions in Pyro don't like people blocking the jump point, so that might actually like Xenothreat might issue a mission and be like, hey, there's these assholes who are blocking the jump point, or there's assholes who are causing problems over here. Go kill them. But that's more of a dynamic mission system sort of setup, which it's hard to tell if that's going to happen at some point or not. So, go ahead, Zark.
Yeah, it's the same thing. NPCs can intervene. There is always the reason because you don't want traffic to stop, and otherwise, and it might take a while. So until then, you have to get your ships and kill those guys.
Yeah. We got 18 questions. I paused the redemption because there's so many people. How many SRVs do you think you need to take a C2 in gravity? CIG says 7. If CIG says 7, then CIG said then it's 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the answer. Gin and tonic.
I mean, the
asks,
question would be if you fill it with helium, you might be able to move it with 5 because it would be lighter than air.
Yeah, but that's you're also taking into account the equipment that it's being contained in, which also has weight. So it might negate the whole helium in the first place.
You would need to use lightweight cargo crates that
7.
would float on their own. But then in the ship.
7. Yes. Jale.
Yeah.
7. All right. Gin and Tonic asks, does the Sulian carry cargo on those external open rectangular thingies? I believe so.
Yes.
So
2 1 STU crates on each of them.
Shapasa asks, do you think the current cargo metrics for ships have a proper amount of cargo space for provisions parts, especially in the bigger ships? I think CIG is going to eventually open it up so that all of those little cabinet spaces will count as cargo spaces. But right now, I think that they're just kind of defaulting to the cargo spaces being also where you store your stuff. But I could be wrong on that one. It's hard to tell,
okay.
especially. Go ahead.
Yeah. First, depending on the ship, you have your cupboards, and that's where you are supposed to store some of your provisions. Depending on the duration, you are supposed to store more of your provisions in the cargo area. You can try and buy 1 full STU crate of rations and try to eat it empty, and you will see it takes quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
As for the spare parts, I'm not sure when. It's a couple of years back when they did a show through the Idris.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the larger ships will have vent floor panels and vent panels that can be opened, and behind them are spare parts that you can take out and put in.
Yeah,
they are intended.
I think the Vanguard has stuff like that. Possibly, I don't remember if that's the case or not.
Yeah,
Jale,
so
you're gonna say who says some Jale?
Well, the cargo requirements for endurance and so forth and longevity of your ship will be fitted to suit the cargo capabilities of the ships we have. They're never going to be painted into a corner where they're like, oh no, because of reasons, every ship now needs 8 SCU to even survive. They make the game's design systems around what requirements we have. And there's always been this kind of like ongoing thing in the Star Citizen community of this perception that they'll paint themselves into a corner. No, they just kind of like they get to paint the walls of the corners, so it's not really a concern.
So the thing is, as I said, some of the larger ships will have spare parts in the walls, so in the floorways, where you're supposed to open them and then you get things out. Not sure which ships will get this. They talked about the Idris having them, and other large ships will have them as well. If this means Idris, Kraken, and Javelin, okay. If this means something like the Hammerhead or the Carrack, maybe as well. At the end of it, if you think about what you need, you always need to think about, okay, what missions do you do? How long are you away? And what do you need? For example, if we take the Carrack with 425 STU of cargo space, you can put a lot of things in there. If you fill only 1 crate with, I believe it's 175 STU of food and ammunition, and you are smart enough to pack it so you can reach it, you will have trouble to finish this.
Right now at least.
Even probably in the later stages of the game. The main problem you will face with most ships, and the main thing that will most likely fill up your cargo space, is fuel. You will need to carry extra fuel.
If you're going long
ranges, ammunition, spare parts, food, that's nothing in comparison to fuel. Just try to take one extra filling for the quantum fuel or the hydrogen fuel of a Carrack. Okay. That's more than you could ever eat in terms of SCU size.
All right. Next question comes from Steve That Answer, who asks, do you think Crusader needs a starter ship? What would it be? Jale, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it needs a starter ship. Well, it doesn't need, but it's an obvious gap for a starter ship. and I don't know how to make it particularly special, but do all the starter ships need to be special? In their actual gameplay capabilities, the Sulan isn't special. It doesn't have a particular place where it excels, and it would sell. So yeah, the more diversity, the better. Fine.
I could tell you what would sell: a small people mover. They have the Genesis. Why wouldn't they have the smaller version, like a tiny little shuttle that holds like seven people in it? Like
Paul,
doesn't hold anything else, but.
I want to say we already have the Crusader starter, and John Crew committed to making it.
You're talking about the shuttle that we have at
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, though. Something like that. Like you could do like that as a starter.
This is the Crusader starter, and I would be so glad if that is the starter ship of Crusader, and that's the only variant. No guns, no bombs, no nothing.
Yeah.
Moving people.
I think so.
It would be glorious. Finally back.
I think
Crusader would be back.
We would definitely need the mechanic before they did that, though. Steve the Dancer asks, what ship or ships are you all looking forward to see at IAE? I'm looking forward to see personally the RSI miners, like the A something.
Arastra.
I've seen the leaks for it, but I want to see like the concept art and like the stuff that they actually like. What it actually, because the 3D you lose a lot of depth and kind of the greebles don't really pop out in like the gray sketch form. So I'd like to see more about that. What about you, Joe?
I mean, that's the thing to look forward to now that the Sulan's gone. I was looking forward to the Sulan, and now I'm looking forward to seeing the Arastra. I'm not looking forward to the Storm.
Yeah. I don't like the Storm. I think it's bad, but I feel bad about the Storm because the designer who designed the Storm is like he's like a newer designer for Star Citizen. So like, and everyone's like, it's perfect. It was perfect, and I think general consensus of the community is it's awful. But I might be in my own echo chamber for that one, so I don't know. So please let us know in the comments down below. What do you think?
The thing about the Storm really is, so the concept was great. So just looking at the concept image, awesome. Rule of cool, okay. Even the concept pictures themselves were like, okay, it's fine. When we had the size, that was where it got iffy. And I'm surprised it fits in the Carrack, okay. I'd still take 2 Ursa rovers over the one Storm, so. And now that's in game. I've seen a clip about it in the PTU where it got tested, and I've seen the guy walking around it, and you could have shrunken the tracks like on to half its size. Those huge things you could have shrunken it. Yeah, then it would have, because there's no component that requires that much size, and if you shrink it, all of a sudden it fits into a constellation. All of a sudden it has the footprint of a rover. Then it would be perfect. Then it would be glorious.
One nice thing about it is that the way they've designed it to be super modular as a platform is really cool. I think that they, as you say, shrink those tracks in a little bit. Be good.
Yeah. The reason why I don't like the Storm is mostly because it's not designed to fit in the places it should be designed to fit in. And the entry and exit location makes no sense gameplay wise and like strategically wise, because generally speaking, when you're in combat, you want to have the armor for your kind of stuff to the front and maybe to the sides. You tend to like lessen the armor in the top or on the back, because those are the areas you're less likely to get hit in combat. And in games, probably the same idea. You're generally speaking, you rarely have like your back shields rarely go down in combat. And on ground, I can imagine it not happen as much. But because of the
think about it,
let me finish up real quick. But because you enter and exit from the front, it's like you're probably going to be pointed towards the front. So that means you have to back up to an area which tells the enemy that who's fighting at you, oh, they're getting out. Let's rotate around so we can shoot them as they get out, which makes it a lot harder for you to and then you also are putting your back towards the enemy, which means your back armor which is weaker, is going to be more exposed. It's like, and it's also where all your equipment is in the back. So if you try to rotate it, so it's like the placements are just like, this is poorly designed. And like I said, it looks cool. It looks great. I love the style, but a lot of the like design points that are like really important for making this thing work in game are completely ignored. So, sorry, go ahead, Zark.
Actually, I think so. From the point of realism, I completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
even from gameplay,
top patch or something would be better. That's where I'm not sure if it's actually that bad of a decision, because remember how you're supposed to play with this thing. It's supposed to do hit and run. So you go up a hill, you fire a few shots down, you go back down. So in theory,
we're losing you, Zark, here.
Because
okay.
you have to turn
weird... Hold on.
Let me check.
Yeah, it's just the signal dropping out.
Yeah. You're back now. It's literally after I said that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So as the storm is designed to go in, shoot, turn around, and run away again, you're kind of supposed to turn your sides and your back to the enemy. So if you get hit there on your way out, which is probably more likely, because if you go in, you have the surprise on your side. But if you go out and you get shot and you get destroyed, or your components get destroyed on the way out, then you can get out and the vehicle is covering your back while you get out. So I could actually see it making sense. If it's a great solution, I'm still not sure about it, but I could see it making sense if you consider this hit and run style.
I just have a problem with its, like, all of those, and also its size. Its biggest problem is the size. It should be able to fit in a Connie.
Yeah.
If it was just small enough so that it could fit in a Connie, it would be a much better vehicle, because it would become much more like diversified. Because if you fit in a Connie, it means you could fit in a Star Runner.
Fit pretty much everywhere.
Almost everywhere.
And
so
to be honest, here's another change that would make me like it better. Not make it a good vehicle, but like it better. Select the bit of text which says it was from the Tavaran War and from the same time and
as the Nova.
Same manufacturer as the Nova. Delete. Change it to it was invented for like crowd suppression during the middle of the Mesa era.
Boom.
And it's now a police tank, and that like. It makes the vehicle make more sense, and it makes it fit better. And
it's badly written lore. It's one of those, I wouldn't say it's rare L's, because CIG does that enough times that I'm just like, why does this exist at this time? This doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, why does this have to be 700 years old? Why couldn't it have been 200? That kind of thing. But at the same time, it's one of those things where it's just like the lore doesn't make a lot of sense. So
a lot of our criticisms are that this doesn't work in a war zone.
Yeah.
But if you contextualize it as working in a urban crowd suppression environment, it makes sense.
Or as a scout used for small recon forces, and like random self-defense locations where you're not going to see a lot of conflict.
I say the Storm has the same problem as the Baneblade in 40k has.
Yeah,
it's a light scout tank that's not light nor scout nor something.
Yeah.
What were you looking forward to seeing at IAE, Zark?
The Arastra, simply, and oh boy, I'm not a miner, but that's one. But what I've seen so far, it's again one of those concepts where they play the right strings, making it nice. Complete package. It's supposed to be pretty much self-sufficient, if the leaks are correct. So, yeah, it will be a very nice miner.
Yeah, it looks interesting. It looks like the Javelin and the Pioneer had a baby, but
it's not a space Dorito.
No, it's not a space Dorito. Yeah, that's the weird part. Tactical Beard asked this question. I think this is a good one for Jale. Is there enough lore out to make a video or explain why the Xi'an fear the UEE and humans?
Yeah, kind of, but it would be rely on some speculation. The Xi'an have only really, like, their major other alien contact we know of has been bad for them with the Kurthak. And I'll probably be making a video about the Kurthak between now and Christmas, because it's a topic which people still ask a lot of questions about.
Yeah.
really, what happened with the Xi'an was they turned up, they found some people on their planet ripping up their soil, and they detained them for a very short period of time, and then let them go again. And then those people started putting like warships along the border, so they put their warships along the border, and that was the state for several hundred years.
Mhm.
So, like, I've always viewed it as like a North Korea USA situation where the UEE were like rattling sabers all the time, and the Xi'an were just like being sensible in reciprocating the defensive posturing.
Yeah. So what are these crazy monkeys with shotguns doing around, like swinging these shotguns at us in an aggressive manner? Maybe we should put some people over there to keep these people from going nuts. So,
I come from a country where, like, my father-in-law is in the armed forces, and I know a lot of people in the armed forces, and we every few years will have the fear of another war over the Falkland Islands because it's expeditious in Argentina for political parties to threaten that for public appeal.
Mhm.
And like, that's quite a scary thing to think that your family members might be sent off to defend, or that there might be some like war over this thing just because it's politically expedient for a neighbor. And I think that that's the kind of situation that they're talking to is that kind of vibe.
The Xi'an are just wary of the Mezers because the Mezers were always like using them as the excuse to keep in power, and Xi'an knew that. So,
And I mean, maybe Jale can tell me if that's true as well, because you said we introduced them into shopping and branding.
Mm-hmm.
Did we introduce them to war crimes? Or are they still unaware of those?
I mean, we introduced the Devar into war crimes, so because they didn't know those things, there was such thing as war crimes before that. But
the Cathach gave them an education while we were still sailing around the oceans. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot about the whole murdering the entire imperial family in one swipe.
The Cathach turned up on graduation day and nuked the graduation party.
Yeah, the entire graduation party. Just like we're going to go for this one person, so we're going to get everything in a 5 kilometer radius is going to die as well. That way we're extra sure. So, what I was going to say. Oh yeah, but the my favorite of the whole thing is the Tevarin. What I learned is the Tevarin always incorporate their species. Or the fallen, not species, but the fallen, like in a war between two Tevarin, if whoever wins, the fallen side goes, we surrender, now we're going to be taken care of by you, and now you are our leader, we follow you, because that's the kind of how they fight wars. And when humanity beat the Tevarin were like, cool, now we're part of humanity, we'll do this. And humanity was like, no, we're going to terraform your planet, we're going to kick all you Xenos out, and they were kind of confused as to like, but we lost. This is how things are done. What do you mean? What do you mean you're trying to exterminate us all? What? So yeah.
I'm not thinking about which. I'm not quite sure if it's old China or old Japan. That's where it's actually from. Like you had your household and all the things.
Yeah.
So when two samurai had a duel to the death, the winning party
would take care of the household. Yeah.
Usually would take care of the household if there was no male heir or something. Yeah. But I think it might be actually Chinese and not Japanese.
I know what you're talking about, though. I've heard that before, where like the idea being like where if households are warring with one another, if you defeated the leaders, then it would be like if they died, then they would take care of them as more of like it's like a kind of a, you are now part of us. You are under us now. You are underlings. You are subservient to us. All right. Okay. This is going to be a quick answer. Shimpasta asks, how does CIG determine if a ship should be hull limited or not? It's entirely up to them, specifically if they want to see a large number of them in the verse or not. The only reason why ships are hull limited is because they do not want to see large numbers of those ships specifically. That's the logical and CIG coded answer. If you want the I'm angry and Star Citizen's a scam answer, it's because FOMO and what is it called? Artificial scarcity. Artificial scarcity. combined, so that they can drive the price up higher and get more people excited about it, and intentionally so. But yeah. Next question. We're down to 12. The question comes from with the economy team working on the economy, what do each of you think a wipe? When do you each of you think a wipe should happen next? Zark, when do you think?
Ooh. So I'll say it's milestone dependent.
Okay. I agree with you generally. So
yeah, I guess once we see a replication layer server meshing coming in, they will probably give another wipe just so the database is clear, and then when full persistence is really ramping up, we'll see it. Otherwise, if they do some really, really crazy rebalancing of the economy, that might actually warrant a wipe. So if they decide to just triple the price of every armor and quadruple the price of every bullet and increase the price of every ship by 10 times, they might say, okay, now it's a wipe. If there's some serious changes to the mission payout, which would also play into the economy, so if mission payouts are probably suddenly drastically different, those two things I don't think are likely to happen on their own. So they will probably integrate it with something. So server meshing, replication layer is the one thing. When Pyro comes in, we'll probably bring a wipe with it. And should they bring in more Quanta?
Yeah,
for whatever reason.
Because right now we know the Quanta is paused, which is why the Quanta team has basically become the economy team. Yeah. They're doing it more manually right now. So I generally agree. Milestones, I could see a lot of those back end systems being like, especially what is it called, the replication layer. I could see them just kind of going, let's just wipe everything just so we don't have a problem with the back end servers right away. But I can also see that going terribly wrong. So it's hard to tell.
Next year summer maybe, if there's time you want when it's happening.
I could also see CIG just doing a yearly wipe, just being like, we're gonna wipe every time August, the Q2 Q3 patch, we're just gonna wipe, and then you're gonna go from there, because that's like right before the big events, gets people hyped about the big events. They get like, okay, we're gonna get a wipe, and then we're gonna kind of build up again from the beginning and kind of work our way up. So
look, here's my answer: they can wipe your credits, they can wipe your rep, they can wipe the ships you earn in game. They can never wipe the number of alien languages you learn. Rise above, become ungovernable.
Jale, but they can wipe the alien language from Star Citizen.
Oh, all right. Do the Banu have any shuttlecraft like the C8X that we might see in as a starter from another alien manufacturer? No, but there's nothing that says they can't. So,
probably
the alien, most of the alien species are actually probably more vague than the current status of a lot of human locations and human situations. So, like, we know generally speaking what Banu society and Xi'an society and Tavaran society are like, but we don't have a lot of specifics on like for instance, we know that Banu Suli is just Banu made. That's basically what it means. It's just a Suli that distributes.
That's Embe Banu.
Embe Banu, right?
I say rule of thumb would be every ship we have, or every ship role we have in humans, we could also see as an alien.
Oh, ship. Easily.
It's as simple as that.
But we just don't.
We will never see. Yeah, we will never see the variety. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense. For example, with the Xi'an, they don't need two or three light fighters because only one house is supposed to make light fighters.
Yeah.
So they make the same light fighter. There's, I say, missing competition, which hampers variety. With the Banu, we could actually see 100 light fighters in theory, because the law says they take whatever works. But overall, I say they keep it very, very simple. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it goes the other way, that like it's the Barney, because they share everything, it kind of there's so much variety. It's got whittled down to the optimum already. So
Yeah.
that's why you have one. So there's two
Okay,
reasons for
I
having
can see
one.
this.
There's no
And,
such thing as IP protection in Bennu
Yeah.
society.
Yeah.
So like, if
But
a ship manufacturer makes the best type of ship, you just like this one group makes the best defender. All the other ship manufacturers will just copy that defender and make the same thing because it's the best.
But
So
I would love if they did some kind of like shuffling on slight tints or like textures used in different places, so that like each one is just like a little bit different. That would be cool. Like just a little tweaks.
And they can also do like nice little Easter eggs like that. Like one of them has like a little nook carved out of a Bennu defender for like those like statues to the various gods of luck and stuff like that. You'd be like, oh, this is made by like this Suli. Like this Suli's really cool.
My one came with pink lights, your one came with orange lights, and that's just like that's what you get when you play Barnu.
Yeah.
This could be very interesting if we go into ship customization. Depending on which place you get your armor, the armor might have different properties for Barnu, but also for humans. Then, so would be nice to go that route. Yeah.
Steve the Dancer asks, would you like to have the dedicated tractor beam rifle be sold for real money with different skins? No, but I think CIG would love to do different skins for the dedicated tractor beam marshal. They already do it for the multi-tool. Why wouldn't they do it for the rifle? So, yeah.
It's just not worth it. So they can sell it. I will never buy it.
Yeah. And I don't think it's going to be a big seller because that's definitely an in-game customization option where it's just like if you.
It's a subscribe item. It's a subscribe item.
But I mean, like if you had the chance to get like a neat, your favorite color like skin that you could apply to the rifle, you'd be like, yeah, I got it, or something that matches your whole vibe or whatever. So,
If they put it down in the Citizen Con package next year for the digital goodies pack, and they make it a more reasonable price, I wouldn't complain about it. But aside from that.
Yeah. All right. Next question comes from Nova, specifically for Jale. But they pronounce her name Gale. So it's Gale instead of Jale.
I will eat your magic shoes.
You showed a hidden fifth paint for the Sulian. Any idea how to get it? Loot pool or holiday time limited?
Probably Luminalia or some Alien Day future thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just another one that they've already designed and then just held back for a future. It could even be a subscriber perk. So
yeah, I could definitely see it being an Alien Week or Luminalia release, especially since it's already in the game. So, Cregan asks, the IAE brochure says the Sulian is making its debut at IAE 2953, but is that how in canon or in canon lore, or is it a brochure directed towards us? And seems like it would fit well in game, and just seems like it would fit well in game as well. Have other ships released IAE, IFL, or have they all been existing ships in lore? Yes, there have plenty of ships, even in lore, that have released on the day that they're released in game, as debuted at. In fact, it's a popular thing to do in the ship manufacturing industry to release your ship at an IAE. Because it's the biggest car show or biggest ship show in the universe. So, yeah, makes sense. And yeah, it almost certainly is released.
You have to think about how it's in lore, because right now in lore, we are right about ending the Cold War between Jean and UAE. So we have seen the Royal N, which is the first hybrid ship. Now we've seen another ship that's designed by the Jean to be a hybrid, to be used also for humans, to make humans more appreciative of the Jean culture, the Jean design, to foster the trade agreements and so on and so forth. That's why it's simply a new ship. If it would be an old school Jean ship, I think it would look a lot different because it would have much more aftermarket stuff.
It would have to be kind of like
feasible.
retrofitted to be human rather than built as part of human. Though,
yeah, I don't think they've actually said if it's based on an existing Xi'an ship or not. I think they've just left that as a blank space for us to fill in or to fill in at a later date. If we
And
get an
I'll be
answer,
honest,
if we get an answer, it'll probably be in Galactopedia or in a Jump Point article.
and I'll be honest, I think most humans would not fit in most John ships because they are very short. They like caves, so
They're like-
I
they're-
assume
They're like
most
a foot
floor-
shorter, but like a couple
Yeah,
meters
but-
shorter. But
the most floor height would probably be maybe 6 foot. If they're
Yeah.
5 foot tall, like caves, so 6 foot floor. We are larger. We are higher. We are taller than 6 foot in game, and everyone here as well. So
yeah,
we
the
wouldn't
Star
fit in
Citizen
there.
community is tall, is what I've discovered from,
Yeah.
from Citizen Con. They're all over 6 foot.
Bear in mind, there is still concept art of Xi'an choke slamming a Vandal, and
Yes.
that is still canon in my book. You know, Giga Chad, Xi'an warriors storming the barricades.
Fun fact on this point,
I choose to believe that because I've been watching the anime version of what is it, of Scott Pilgrim, just got released, the anime version of the Scott Pilgrim to Netflix. And I choose to believe that the Xi'an are kind of like Ramona Flowers in that one, which is like, yeah, she's short, but she's like 4 times the strength of a normal human. So like, Xi'an are short, but they could like straight open like brick walls with their face, sort of thing. And just Hulk out strength.
There's a small fun fact from our reality. Birds have bird muscles are 2 times stronger than human muscles, or mammal muscles for that part, and reptile muscles are 4 times stronger than mammal muscles. So a reptile our size is 4 times as strong as we are. So if the Vanduls are more human-like from their muscles in terms of density and strength, and John are more reptile-like, they will smack down a Vandal. No problem there.
Yeah. Especially since Vandal seem to be more like fish. So...
I don't know how the fish muscle coefficient is. Maybe Jale knows that as a biologist.
I think it's lower.
I think it's lower. Midnight Black SC asks, "What are other alien ships you guys would like to see?" I want to see the trip. Yeah, we already did that one. Yeah, we already did that one. How would you say pizza in Xi'an?
Pizza.
Is that just pizza? There's no word for it.
Yeah, they use loan words. They wouldn't like pizza because.
And I freaked out. Hold on.
Have I frozen?
Yeah, you're back.
Frozen.
Now. You're back.
Yeah. So they like sushi, so they have the loan word sushi, but pizza wouldn't go down well. It doesn't conform to the 3 leaves of flavor, which is the principles of Xi'an cuisine.
Unless you could get like, I don't know, turn pizza into something like kimchi. Get a kimchi pizza, maybe.
What are the 3 leaves of flavor?
What's
What are
that?
the 3 leaves of flavor, Jay?
So the 3 Leaves of Flavor is an ancient book by House Wai, who are also the inventors, I think, of their first spacecraft. And the 3 leaves are the nice flavors, the nice textures, and then the bad things. So you want to maximize things on the 2 leaves of pleasant things, and then minimize your flavors on the leaf of bad things. And each one has, I think, it's 11 different criteria. So it's like salty is good, whereas like sweet is usually bad. Burnt is bad is the main one. And so a nice crispy pizza, they'd probably be quite happy with just the dough because it's squishy and it's got the yeasty flavors.
Yeah. And this is also another thing I'll point out, because a lot of people say, well, why do like the Banu, do all the alien species in Star Citizen just like are they just all carrions because they all like rotten food? And it's like, no, the Banu don't like rotten things. They like everything.
Yeah.
They enjoy the meal and the plate it came on and all of the utensils you brought. Those are all food to them because they love texture is more for them. They just love like different tastes and textures are their thing. So like the complete opposite of the Xi'an. The Xi'an are very careful. The Banu are just like sitting there chomping on like the house plant you have there and be like, I love the texture of this. It's so different. It's plastic. Oh, plastic. Plastic is just is wonderful, you know?
To put it in gameplay perspective, the genre would be you only eat once every 3 days, but if you don't eat this one thing, you probably die or you get sick. Human is you need to eat every day, but you have a variety. And Banu is just take something, put it in your mouth, and you're good to go.
Just chew it. Yeah, they'll find some way of metabolizing it. Yeah.
I eat your magic shoes.
There we go. Nova 842 asks, what's with the purple glow and blue glow part on the gun rack? Is that, I guess the answer is you don't know if there's any kind of color association.
I say it's probably color coding for for two-handed weapons or two-handed utensils and one-handed utensils. Because
it could just be a gameplay though. I don't know if there's a lore reason behind it though.
It's specifically on the ones which are like pistol size. There's 2 purple and 2 blue. Maybe they're going to be weapon and tool.
Oh, cool. Maybe. It could be, makes sense. Because right now I think you can put the tools in the pistol slots in a lot of the other ones. So
I don't know. It could be pistols and tools and grenades. Don't know.
Yeah. I do like that comment. Where's my helmet? Banu burps. Now I'm gonna overemphasize it a little bit. The Banu don't just eat everything, but they can eat everything, and they love variety. So. They love pickled stuff. Like their favorite human stuff is pickled foods. So, because
you have to be very careful if you get invited to dinner for Banu. Not just because maybe you're on the dinner, but also whatever they eat might kill you, and then you're definitely on the dinner.
Oh gosh, I keep forgetting the name of it. Major would have been able to tell me about this. There's a specific thing that goes along with this, where like when they do a deal, they take these this vessel, the slow-mo, yeah, and everyone adds a little thing to the slow-mo, which is very Banu, because like they can put whatever you want in there, and it says it in. Go ahead.
It's very British. It's very British. It's a drinking game we play. It's the dirty pint.
Yeah. There's a version of it in America.
We have the same one in Germany. It's mixed with a card game. We have to.
Yes.
Fill a glass when you have the same card. Yeah. And everyone has to put something in, and one has to drink it in the end.
It's a college game that we play a lot, where you have the cards, and if you mess up, you have to pour something into the thing, and at the end, whoever loses the game at the end, and everyone brings their own different like liquors and beers and liqueurs and like wine coolers and everything, and so it just gets disgusting, and you have to drink it at the end. But yeah, slow-mo is a great example of just like. Shlomo is just filled with all sorts of variety of things, and the Banu have to be very careful when they have humans around, because they can't just put anything they want in there. Half of the Ixi has been eaten, and someone pointed at the dog. Oh, there's Major.
Who knows anything about the diet of Vendul?
No.
The only thing we that's been hinted at, which is probably old lore because they've changed a lot, is they mulch everything into this goo that they use for everything on their ships. And at one point they hinted at they also use it to eat. So like they just kind of consume gray paste. But that also could be wrong. So
yeah, but they're clearly carnivores, right? And
yeah. Nutrient paste, and like what I mean by like strip, I mean everything. Like Vendul harvesters will like mulch humans, animals, grass, trees, like mountainsides, like whatever they could get their hands on. So
I think they did the same in Mass Effect, right? There was that like nanobot-y kind of stuff where you can like mulch it down to be like mulch paste. No, it was something. No. It was a Mass Effect thing where they can make like the technology out of it, and that's what the Vandal do. So they just like take all the minerals, put it in a big goop, and then like, oh, we need some iron. We'll pull that out and make the iron thing.
All right, this is specifically for Jale. Do you think we will get? Do do you think we will get a way to see our names translated into various languages of Star Citizen?
Yes, it's basically the best thing you can do when you start in any of these languages, because it will introduce you to the alphabet. Both use a system of, essentially, you just want to move your name sounds into the other alien language. So I have a series called Between the Columns, and Module 1 is doing that. So that's probably the easiest way to get into doing that in Xi'an. And for Banu, I think Major Star Stuff's channel is the best for looking at stuff about Banu. But essentially, my name is Jale, which actually came from my initials, JL. And so my name in Xi'an is Jale, and my name in Banu is Jela. And that's just me mutating that name through the different language systems of those languages.
I know that my name in Jean is like, because I saw Chris translate it, and it was like Pual or something like that. Like it was P and then a UL. It was like that kind of like,
yeah, it'd be like Pual. Yeah.
Pual. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But that's like a way to translate it, and you could decide you want to be just Pal or Pul or Pal, and it's a personal thing. Yeah. There's no wrong way to translate your name, really.
Yeah, I mean, a great example of this is in Banu is Jerry, who is Jerry, and then the humans just call him Jerry. He's just like, I'm Jerry now. So even in lore, it's just like you call me this name. The aliens sometimes just be like, it's just me now. It's just my name now. So they did release the lore on that recently because it was a Jump Point exclusive for a while. So if you want to know about the first alien who ever made contact with humanity, it's there. It's a kind of a sad story, but it ends more happily. So, but I always find it hilarious that the first contact was basically a runaway alien convict and a sociopathic shoots first like basically prospector are the first two people to meet each other. All right. We got last three questions are all from half Torsen. I'm going to ask, one of them we already answered, which is where's the sink in the Sulian? Sulian. Why doesn't the Banu Defender and the Banu Merchantman not have a special name in the Banu language like we have for the Sulian and for the Xi'an language?
So the Defender does. It's Oktai, which means the defender. It just means the object that defends in a superlative sense. The fact that the Merchantman doesn't is, I think, still a gap. It does only appear in the Banu language guide as Omerchamando, which is a transliteration of English, and doesn't even make much sense for a species that doesn't even have a concept of a man.
Yeah.
So if I need to translate it, although this isn't official, I would say Alembachai, which follows the same pattern as the Oktai in being like it's kind of similar construction, but it would mean the thing for being away on business.
That makes me look forward to. Okay.
The Suiland.
I'm gonna say one thing, because Guardian says trigger happy is the word you seek. No. He's not trigger happy. He was sociopathic. He lied so easily after that too for clout. So yeah, no. I forgot his name. Something Tar. It was Vernon Tar.
Was it Vernon Tar?
Vernon Tar. Vernon Tar is a sociopath. Like there's no. I have like that man lied like it was super easy and 100%. Was aiming to kill and just was a bad shot. So,
but also, what Halfthor should be asking is why doesn't the Nox have a name that the Xi'an can pronounce? Because they can't say Nox.
Yeah,
and they named that one. So that one needs an alien.
Have you heard the lore behind the Nox?
Yeah, it's just I mean, it was still very early when they were still developing the Xi'an stuff, so it didn't really get much of the same treatment.
Because the lore behind it that I found out was that it was an Oya 3, which is that human Xi'an co-bane word. Well, a human came to the Xi'an colony on a dragonfly, and the Xi'an were like, "What is this?" and just had no concept of what they were seeing. And so the human let them like drive around on the dragonfly, and they had a blast doing so. And so the humans sold them or gave them some dragonflies so they could fly around on them. And then that kind of filtered back to Xi'an territory, which then Aopoa got special permission from the emperor to make a version for the Xi'an, which ended up becoming the Nox.
Yep.
So, which I like that lore, but I think I agree with you that it should be made by Gatak and not by Aopoa, especially since Gatak is so obsessed with human stuff, because like they used to go to those conferences and just be like, yes, give me all this information about how you make your ships.
And you can make it the Norsha, which means like the nanosecond hand, which kind of relates to other things in their name, and so it still have Nox in it. It doesn't have an alien name at all.
You were saying something, Zork? Sorry.
Yeah. In regards to the names, I mean the Suilen, you could also just say the Gatak fly well, or the Gatak haul well. That's fine. I mean, it's like we have on Earth. You can say Volkswagen, or you could say Folkcart.
Yeah.
Both the same. One is the original language, one is the translation.
And it really depends on what you are, because we're not even consistent in human in cultures. Like some places fully translate the name, and other people just use the name it comes from. So
and Aopoa uses animal names. Gatak uses descriptive names.
Yeah.
The Rylen is actually the San Rylen in the Xi'an Empire, which means the cargo ship for flying well. I don't know. We haven't said that it's the San Sulen, but it could be.
All right, this is the last question, and this is specifically for Jale because I don't know this answer. Is there a Xi'an drug house?
Yes, kind of. So there are official Xi'an crime houses. Specifically, there's the system where it's the one that connects to Tohill, because it was when they were doing the secret meeting between the Emperor and the Senator to bring an end to the Cold War. The Xi'an pirate groups in there helped the Emperor move through secretly, and he kind of like allowed them to become one of these authorized pirate houses. But they're not even the only one. They're called because of Yua, because all their names then changed to be Yua. But it's basically like the Xi'an Mafia.
Yeah.
And Etam is a Xi'an drug, so
it's a focus drug. So there is Xi'an drugs. It's Etam, but is because I've always thought that the Etam was not like a drug in the same sense that we think of it as kind of like a legal drug. That it's more of like kind of like how tea is like a drug because it's got caffeine in it. So like we don't really call that a drug. We don't. But
there are words for like narcotics and drugs. Yeah. So they have the concept, and we know that they have the crime houses. So
So my favorite thing about the crime houses is that that's where all of the human like rebels and agitators against the Mezers, they would go live with them. So
they went to live in a place called Corilla, which is where I put my location to on Twitter when I set up my account. Which is a lovely city, but I think that they were the sort of the human traffickers in that arrangement. The Bremen Beltway.
Now I know the medium Jean ship should be made by one of those criminal houses for smuggling specifically.
Yes.
Yeah, Xi'an smuggling ship would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, it is the first place where humans and Xi'an would meet would be in Tohill, and it was between human and Xi'an smugglers because both sides were just like, "What do you got? Let's go. Let's make some money here right now."
So that's the way we get the hybridization in the ship. So Tohill has an underground illegal manufacturer of pirate ships and creates a smuggling ship.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We
have our Jean Cutlass.
I was gonna say this sounds like like Drake going like we have a new partnership. Misk isn't the only one with a partnership with the Xi'an. Now we're gonna do a partnership with the Yua, And so everyone is like, "Ooh, that's fancy. It's different." And everyone who knows is like, "You're working with the mafia?" It's like, no, we're working with respectable. They're crime stoppers. It's totally what it says in Jale language.
They're caretakers of the community. They call
They're
themselves.
sanctioned
Yes.
traders for recreational substances.
All right, well, that's it. The last one. Thank you so much for joining us. And sorry, like Loken came in at the last minute. Thank you so much for that 48 months of support as well. And thank you to Jale. Again, go watch every single video that they've ever made on their YouTube so they can get their watch time up. You should anyways, because it's all good. And join Zark and myself as we liberate artifacts from the uncaring hands of Ninetales all over the systems of, all over the sentient system, which we're going to do a little bit of that tomorrow, where we're going to be doing a lore tour, and at the end, the league is going to go out to the what is it called? The Flysa. We're going to see the Flysa and kind of see the downed javelin in game. So. Thank you again for joining us. Remember to join us live at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, youtube.com/TheAstroPub. Would love to come down here. And of course, comment down below in your own thoughts on any things we talked about. And like I said every time, hope to see you someday in the black.